ready for some superhero movies?
Actually, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I mean, I'll see just about any film regardless.
Right around the corner, we've got Thor coming out from Marvel, and from DC, we've got Green Lantern. So now's a great time to discuss the differences between DC and Marvel films. Let me start with DC. I think they're the better of the group, mostly because of Batman. Here's my theory. The less powers a hero has, the easier it is to make a quality film, because that hero can be related to with the audience, and usually the villain doesn't have to be as far-fetched. With Batman, he's got humans to deal with. And that makes a lot of sense for us because, hey, guess what? We deal with humans too. They have emotions. They've got... as you get out further there with the powers, things get a little bit more outlandish, and sometimes the movies begin to unravel. Like Superman. Nobody can really beat him. He's got way too many powers. That means that a good foe for him has to be insanely, ridiculously powerful. And that usually means a compromise of the script. DC allows the directors to actually make a film. That's why Batman looks so radically different depending on who the director is. In fact, I might even go on a limb and say that Batman 1989 may have completely ruined society. But more on that later. Moving along to Marvel, we find out that they run an incredibly tight ship and are more focused on quantity than quality. This is evidenced by Spider-Man, a fairly mediocre movie about a very likable guy who becomes a superhero. Spider-Man's got his origin story set up in the first act. La la la, I'm a dork, da da da, here's how I got some powers. There you go. They do a little bit of more risky things over at Marvel in the years to come and stuff, but it doesn't take very long after that. You see, what happened was they made a movie called Hulk. And the problem with Hulk was that it was a character-driven film. It didn't really rely on all the same mechanics. It also had some very ambitious editing. There's like all these lines going across the screen, and things are divided up like 24. You expect Jack Bauer to be hopping out. Well, what do you know? The critics were a little hesitant about Hulk. And audiences, though it did make some cash, were not real excited about the realism in some places, like the effects. The face looked too much like a human's face, not so much like what they had with Hulk in ideas and all these other weird things. So, bottom line, they had to revamp stuff. And they had to stick to the routine set up by Spider-Man. From that point forward, Marvel films all look alike. The structure is the same as Spider-Man. They think, hey, Spider-Man made $800 million. Why don't we just do that with everything? So you got the loserish hero who happens to come across his powers. He faces a villain who he also may have inadvertently created in some kind of way. And all this gets wrapped up within the first one. And then they even have to include some kind of scapegoat route to bring in a sequel. Iron Man follows this formula. You got the guy, he's over here, he's doing his thing. He's the reverse of Peter Parker. He's a little bit unlikable, but I thought he's a cool guy. So anyways, he gets this Iron Man suit whole thing going up in the first movie. And he has to battle a villain, all in the same movie. It's really the same formula as Spider-Man, though I did like Iron Man. So all these franchises are making money and everybody's content. Unfortunately, they found a way to make more money, and this takes us back to Batman. You see, Batman 1989 completely changed the public's perception of what the character is all about. They thought he was some guy who's like boom and pow and hitting all these things and the captions everywhere. All that goes out the window. Now, though I think Batman is great, probably has the best props and art direction of all time, it did completely reboot the general perception of what's going on with the series. And then things begin to decline, and they decide that it's time to restart Batman. So they come up with Batman Begins. And at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, well, this is a story we haven't actually heard yet. We haven't actually heard how Batman began, how he became Batman, though everybody already assumed it was well wrapped up in the first movie. I guess we can go into this. And it was good. Then The Dark Knight comes along, and this is where things get really tricky. This time he's fighting the Joker. Guess who he fought before? The Joker. The change comes about in that we know he already fought the Joker in a film series. So now what is he doing? He's fighting the Joker again, only in a completely different way, and it's a good movie. But what this establishes is, this movie makes $1 billion, so guess what? Now we can just reboot anything at any given time and continue to make a lot of money and just erase our mistakes, hit continue at the start button, and keep going. Now DC doesn't jump the gun on this, but Marvel is very fast to pull the trigger. Marvel is so happy about the possibility of making money off of reboots and continuing franchises even though the story's been told, that they will set a franchise up to make the public demand a reboot. Oh, you don't believe me? Spider-Man, X-Men. What they did was, they said, look, we got the origin movie over here, okay? He's going to fight a guy just to make people happy. We got our first movie. Second movie in the plan is to have the one everybody wants. This is where the guy, the hero, he's going to be like fighting the best villain he's got, and it's going to be the most awesome, and everybody's going to love it, and it's going to make a lot of money, and really set everybody up for the third movie, which we are going to make suck on purpose. This movie over here is going to be so contradictory to the way everybody wanted it to go. It's going to just completely throw mud in the face of everybody who liked this franchise. Comics, be it anything at all, video game. If you liked anything to do with X-Men or Spider-Man, you are not going to like the third movie. This is going to tie up all the loose ends in ways that can't possibly be unraveled, and it's just going to be a complete disaster. And we're going to make it that way on purpose so that you, the viewer, demand that we start all over and make more money easily. They're already wrapping up the new Spider-Man. What is it, The Amazing Spider-Man? I'm not entirely interested in seeing it because guess what? We've seen Spider-Man's origin. If you start out with Spider-Man in high school, guess what? We're going to have an origin. And you know what? I have an idea how that works out. And I've got to say that X-Men First Class, I don't really like the look of it. All these Marvel movies, they have this general look. It's not even like a director's making it. It's like filmed by committee. Okay, the studio has like got this whole thing like, nope, blues are going to look this way, and since this takes place in the 60s, colors are slightly muted, but otherwise we're going to do everything the same because we don't need another Hulk. So Marvel has all these franchises coming about, and here comes Thor. Now, Thor, he's kind of a third-tier franchise. I mean, the guy seems like a decent dude, but does the public really know too much about him? Maybe not. Maybe that actually helps in his case. They know it's a big-budget, expensive movie and all, but maybe going against some of the established lore associated with Thor is going to actually help. People may be less nitpicky. From the previews I've seen, this looks like a better-than-average Marvel film, and the reason why is because, well, for one, Thor doesn't have the typical backstory. He basically starts out with his powers, so we don't have to go through the redundant first act that Marvel usually gives us. He gets cast out into Earth, and things could get interesting. You know, there's probably going to be some humor here and there, and the battles will maybe be good. He's fairly invincible, so I don't know how intriguing it's going to get. Green Lantern, on the other hand, man, things are not looking so good with the commercials and stuff. The trailers I've seen, this guy's just, the CGI is everywhere. It's too outlandish. People are not going to relate to it. Don't expect it to make like $1 billion or anything. I mean, it may be a success. Just about everything is these days, but I wouldn't expect a whole lot from it. So there you have it. I think DC films right now are better than Marvel, though both of them have their hits and misses. DC allows directors to make the characters and do their own thing with them. They have some things they have to adhere to, but for the most part, the movies look different. And though some things don't pan out, I do believe that it all works out for the better. Marvel, on the other hand, is really quick to pull the trigger on the remakes, do whatever they can to shell out some sequels for unnecessary reasons, like Iron Man 2, all of a sudden he has a blood condition. I just don't think that Marvel understands movie making. And here's another thing I think is going to end up happening soon. Someone is going to jump on this. You're going to call me the patron saint of all predictions when this goes down. Comic books. They have parallel series going. They'll have Batman doing his thing over here, doing something maybe a little bit more comical over here with slightly different interpretation, remakes both directions, whatever. At some point, someone is going to say, you know what, why don't we run 2 Spider-Man films at the same time? We'll have this actor and a slightly more comedic Spider-Man over here, and on alternate years, we're going to show this guy, and he's going to still be Spider-Man, but we're going to be hard edge about it, and it's going to be like the Dark Knight of Spider-Man. And either way, you pick your poison, but we're going to make a lot of cash. Let me know what you think about this theory and other crap. I do need some thumbs up for a change, so please get on that. Share this video with some friends if you want to help me out. I'll have my review of these films up shortly, I guess. I'll see you guys next time.